Hello, people. Hello, people. Welcome to Wrestling Around, episode 21. I am your host, or one of the co-hosts, Kyle Clark, or K Clark Hale. And we'll be having our guest shortly. Depends if he gets set up or not, or it's about time where he gets back, and I think it's the rescheduled it second time, but I hope the third time is the charm. Hello, Harry Tuck. I'm a recent subscriber of the channel. How's it going, Harry? Let's see. So, so I see you're, I think, an SML fan. So anyway, I'm going to. What am I doing? I'm interviewing. This is my kind of like my hobby. What is the video? This is I'm like a wrestling fan as well. I don't mind me. Don't get me wrong. I like SML as well, and all the others, all other games like that. I don't like the new SML in my opinion. Huh. Okay. I respect that. Let's see. All right. That's kind of like, I guess, the way things are now. Because, there's people that, somebody at Nintendo sent a letter to Logan to not use Mario related, like Nintendo related consoles and stuff or names and stuff because they they um they hate it. They just hate when they seem to like knock off the Mario franchise and stuff. I don't think they're ripping it off, but they're just like making a parody of it. That's what they're. I think that's in the fair use point. I think that's in the fair use. If parody or remix. All right, so I'm gonna start. If you hear any thunder, it is rained in my area. Thunder. It's a thunderstorm happening in my area. So if you hear thunder, that's why. So. Um, all right. So, making sure this is the. All right. Boop. Get out of here. All right. All right. So he's going to be joining us in a second, Mr. DeWayne Bruce, who is a former WCW superstar and WCW original. I know you guys don't know what that means. It's just something wrestling related. It's been in WCW for the entirety of its existence. So he's going to be joining us shortly. So this is kind of a so I'm going to be just waiting for him to get all set up. That thunder's loud. Hold on, let me check Doppler radar real quick. Severe thunderstorm warning. Well, all right. I can hear it. It is clear. So, I'll let you know, I've been a fan of SML for roughly 7 years. Since, was it way before Jeffy was in existence, so, yeah. It was Bowser Jr.'s summer vacation. That was one of my first videos that I ever watched by SML. At least they're kind of remaking it with less non-copyrightable characters. Instead of Mario, it's Marvin. Instead of Rosalina, it's Rose. Well, Chef Pee and Brooklyn T. Guy are staying the same. Jeffy's staying the same. I don't know about Shrek, though. Shrek, I don't think it's part of Nintendo. I think it's its own brand. I was a SML fan for 12 years. Hold on. Wait. You watch whose videos for 5 years, Harry? So 12 years since the early days of Logan's Super Mario Logan channel. I subscribed to it years ago, and it's non-existent anymore as of this year. So I don't know. You tell me. Hold on one second. Kind of calling me. Hold on one second. Yes, DeWayne.
Yes, sir.
So you tried the Zoom link, or
yeah, I tried the Zoom link, and it's not letting me connect.
I see. There's.
And I'm on an iPhone. Do you have an iPhone?
I have a Android, but I'm fine with what I accepted the call on was my Chromebook, which was my computer that I'm using for this podcast. So just letting you know that. Just letting you know that.
Okay.
So do you?
I have a laptop with my wife's, but I have another laptop that's my work. Will that work there if I give you my email address? Could you send me the link?
Oh, the email? I don't mind.
Uh-huh.
You could You could message me the email, and I could send you the link there.
Okay.
Right.
Great. I'm just trying not to hold you up. I'll send it to you in just a second, sir.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. So just gonna send the email through there. Try it there. Just waiting for him to send me the email so I could send the Zoom link to him. So, all right. How do you get in contact with these wrestlers? Well, they have Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's how I get in contact with them. This one I contacted through Facebook. All right, let me go to my Gmail and hey, my email would is okay. All right. Post this email. No, no, hold on. All right. Um. All right. What wrestlers do you really want? What wrestlers do you really want to talk to? What wrestlers do I really want to talk to? If it was possible, maybe John Cena. Just kidding. John Cena, I mean, is back in WWE, but he's kind of hard to contact. So maybe like the lower card wrestlers, like lesser known wrestlers, maybe they're easier to contact, I believe. If not, they're kind of like maybe busier with other stuff like podcasts and making their own like podcasts and all the other shebang, all the others. So I'm going to say that it would be that what I'm saying is just lesser known wrestlers, mostly known to contact. If it's so what I do is if I find how I find the wrestlers, it's just like if they have Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, linked to their name, linked to their like it says their profile, and if it says the social media is underneath, I'll click on one of them, try to see if they respond back. So looking through Cage Match, net, which is mainly where I searched for the wrestlers that were wrestling, and DeWayne Bruce was one of them that I came across. So who's the most famous wrestlers did you contact? Famous. Excuse me. So the most famous wrestler that I might have contacted might have been either the first episode that where I had James Ellsworth, or maybe just maybe what was it? Ahmed Johnson. Maybe I think it was just incredible. Even though yes, yes you can. Hold on. So going to see. All right. So so I sent the Zoom link to his email, so he might be looking. He could look for that. So well, I tried to message, like, there was one that I think is kind of famous, is a guy named Tyrus, who has been in the WWE for a little while. And it works for Fox, I believe. And I don't know if he works for Fox. I haven't gotten back from him yet. So most of them I contact through either Instagram or Twitter, but Facebook I contact a couple people through. So yeah. All right. So I'm gonna say that for the people to come on here, I would say, about, if I had to pick one of them, maybe I would say John, not John. Was it maybe I'm gonna, if I talking about like actual popularity, I would say about Ahmed Johnson or James Ellsworth, one of those two, because kind of like, I think Just Incredible may be famous, but not as famous as them, I think. Maybe. Because, well, I'm saying that because, you sometimes you gotta pay to get the people on to get asked questions, but sometimes you don't, which I'm going with that path right now. So this is the third time that was scheduling this, but so he's fine with that. Let me check. That he sent to this here. I wonder if it's working for him. See how see if you can join through the email. We'll try something else if Zoom doesn't work for him completely, or as of now. So, hold on, let me turn off my TV. All right. Let's see. So, okay. Oh, now this ain't working. Now my camera's not working either. But this is? What's kind of... Oh, there we go. There we go. Alright. Need okay. The charger for my computer. Need to hook this up. To plug it from my school computer. Put it into this computer. Alright. Should work. Alright. See. Okay. Let me check the weather. So there's a thunderstorm happening right now. It says severe thunderstorm warning. It's a special marine warning. It doesn't have a threats, I guess. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. We may have to make it another time. My computer won't let me download Zoom. I apologize greatly. Another time. Okay. Says his computer cannot download Zoom. All right. Okay. On a red area, so that's kind of heavy rain right now. Yeah, it is. It is heavy rain. Okay. Um. All right. What's that whistling? Hold on. Okay. That kind of scared me a little bit with the. All right. All right. I'm gonna stop screen sharing. All right. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How's it going?
See me? It's going okay. I've been battling some health issues lately. I've lost 38 pounds, and they still don't know what's wrong with me.
That's fine.
My wife's a nurse, so she's all on top of that. So.
It's all right. It's
crazy.
So yeah, that's good that you're feeling better. So how's it in Georgia right now?
It's about 89 degrees and humid.
Let's see. I know up there.
I used to just stand the hot weather when I was young, but now I've got older, not so much.
I see. You kind of get used to stuff, but to the weather kind of changes rapidly, you know.
Yeah.
So
yes, sir.
So you've been in WCW the entirety of the company, about.
Well, when I started, it was NWA back with Ole Anderson and them guys, and Jody Hamilton, the assassin, and Nick Patrick. I don't know if you know who they two are.
Yeah.
That's really old school.
Yeah, I've looked back at the people that paved the way for other people like Charles Robinson. He was in WCW.
Oh yeah, I know Charles very well.
He's still he was in he's in WWE right now. He's still a ref. Nick Patrick, he used to be a referee during the Invasion story.
He hurt his back in a car accident.
I heard that what is it? Nick Patrick is actually the son of Jody.
That's correct.
I see. Also,
and Nick was actually the one that did most of my training. Jody taught me the way a match go. And back then, we didn't have writers like Vince and all that. And then he jumps in last minute and changes everything. So what the heck, Well, we got our finish, but even on TV, we called it on the fly, So, and then when I was in Japan, they would bring your finish over by tape recorder, and you didn't even know if the guy could speak English or what. So you kicked him hard enough, and he said something. So, and then how State Patrol was born. You remember the Hart family?
Stu Hart and Bret Hart. Yeah,
Stu Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I was wrestling here and stuff, and this is like the dying stages of the territories, right? So, believe it or not, my partner lived down south, so he drove up to me where I lived in Jonesboro then. I'm actually in Dallas now. But anyway, we jumped in my Pontiac because we heard all the drug use and everything going on in the vans. And they just had, at that time, the bus ran off and killed Adrian Street. So we actually got in my car and drove. Only time we stopped was take a shower. And so we got there, and Bruce Hart was the one who booked us up there. So they sent us out on a match, and we went out and did our deal, come back, and then so we're trying to get with Stu because he's the only one there. And he goes, well, I can't promise you that much, but I can pay you this much Canadian money, which, you always lose. Well, especially back then. I don't know how it is now. But, so we went out and they put the belts on us that second match when we was there. It's like, daggone. But, so we already been by the hotel, saw the fuel situation. They sold it by the liter and all that. We figured in a couple of weeks we'd be broke, So we actually drove up there, wrestled 2 matches, and drove back home in a week.
I see.
And then we went to Puerto Rico. This is after Bruce and Brody, got knocked in the dressing room. They said, I wasn't there on that trip, but they said he was literally holding his intestines in by his hands. I couldn't imagine. But made him give us an open airline ticket and put all my money, my airline ticket and stuff in my plastic bag and put it in my boot. I made it look funny getting on the airplane, but at least I was going home. And I did many video games with EA Sports in Vancouver. I did 4 video games for them over 2.5 years. And you know what? They wouldn't send me top talent. I made it for everybody out of the power plant. So, and then at the launching of it, they sent Bill Conan, which I've never been he can't work. He can talk. And Bam Bam Bigelow. And I get this call from Eric Bischoff going, hey, they're in the pay-per-view tomorrow night. They can't get hurt. So guess who had to take off punishment?
You?
But back then, I was about 230, 235. I was a TBS employee, so they of course, they didn't drug test the Steiners, because they would fail. But they did get me in, like Bobby. He passed away not long ago, too.
Yeah.
His wife, he lost a son, then he lost his wife. And, I don't know. He just, because I couldn't get a hold of him no kind of way, because all our guys try to stick together a little bit, And there's some guys you hate right off the bat, It's the way it is.
Yeah, that's how the wrestling business is. The people that you hate, that are the people that you like. But if the people that you're supposed to like, they hate you. It's kind of
I've changed the middle of my match where I was a heel into a baby face just to turn the crowd around. Because they was cheering me, wasn't cheering him. So you got to do something right. And whatever they buy down south is exactly what they buy up north or what they buy in California. I've been to Australia there, Japan, So, yeah, I've had many experiences.
So, back to...
I got a little picture here you might want to see.
All right.
I've got some props.
I see.
So, I don't know if you can make that out.
Yep. I
American
see that.
flag behind me.
Yeah.
And then, believe it or not, I got a guy got a hold of me. He's an artist, and he did this for me.
Oh, that's not bad.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, he's.
We're gonna have that etching glass, whatever you call it. I can't remember. But, we're gonna hang up some of this stuff. I got like 4 or 5 boxes, stuff everywhere. Still got all my gimmicks I had over the years, all hanging up in my closet.
So back, you mentioned the power plant, which you were the head trainer of, alongside Paul Orndorff and the previously mentioned Jody Hamilton. How was it like when you trained like guys like that were up and comers to go up into WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor like Goldberg, Kevin Nash, Mark Jindrak, and Shannon Moore?
Or I trained, DDP, Goldberg, Kevin Nash, the Giant. Triple H was with me at one time. Bill Kazmaier was one of the strongest fans. Even bridged over to football. Al Green, God bless his soul, passed away too. And Carl Malone and all of them. So, you had to build up their rapport with them so they trust you so you get them to do something the right way.
See,
But the power plant first started out, that's when I trained, it was down in Jonesboro, and it was Jody's school. And believe it or not, I went to the Omni, and then I found out where the guys go at a bar and hang out, So I had a friend of mine talk to me about it. He was like a guy ring the bell, but he knew the Carney language, And so I went up to Owie, and I was pretty big, I said, well, sir, excuse me, I want to go somewhere I can learn to be a professional wrestler. I didn't say I wanted to be a professional wrestler. He goes, kid, go there and slap the honky back in the head, and if you live, I'll tell you. I said, I beg your pardon. I'm not that damn stupid. so he takes out a napkin and writes his number on and says, call me tomorrow. Because that was on a Sunday. They ran them on Sundays, so it'd be Monday. And, you think it's going to ring down at the Texas or something. But it went right through. The secretary goes, well, we're expecting your call. I'm like, man, really? So he goes, 2 places to go, Jody Hamilton's school and Lovejoy, Georgia. And I lived in Jonesboro, or Ted Oaks gym down in Columbus. So that's, I went there. I had to work and train. And I only trained for 3 months. I had my first match on TV. So I picked it up really quick.
so it was 3 months of training, and you got your first match
on TV.
I see. So of you've heard like people when it was the decline like back in 2001, where I think it was people said it was because of the bookers like Vince Russo and all that. What do you think caused that decline?
Well, I think Vince Russo was a big part of that. He was out there writing WWE for so long, and then for some other reason, they brought him in here, and then, that's when they tried to turn Bill heel, and it didn't work, so they went back the other direction. But he was on top of all that, so I really believe that he's a double agent. He's getting paid by Vince and us to run our company into the ground, And had another big one was starting out in Disney World, and they had everybody, Hulk Hogan, Kurt Hennig, everybody, that didn't go to Vince, right? So I wrestled Jimmy Superfly Snuka Sunday that night, and anyway, I seen Hulk Hogan have his best match he ever had with Kurt Hennig. Kurt Hennig pushed him to all his limits, and it was one hell of a match. And then Vince come in and offered them a huge amount to be on the pay-per-view, and then they were on the pay-per-view once, and then you didn't see him no more. So he just killed another territory. And they wanted a 10-year deal. And I don't know if you know this, but Hulk Hogan lives in Clearwater. So that would be and they were going to build a museum where you could see Ric Flair's boots, or, Rogue, Andre the Giant's boots. And, it's going to be like a sports entertainment, deal and stuff. And I would drive from Clearwater to Orlando anytime than to be on the schedule that Vince has. I mean, they're on the road 300-something days a year. It's hard to keep a marriage or anything going for that much time on the road. I've been with my wife for 40 years, so she deserves a medal. She deserves a medal, for sure.
For sure. So, of course, you're famous under the State Patrol tag team with James Earl Wright. And there was also another gimmick that you were under. It was, I think, Braun the Leprechaun?
Yes. That was Kevin Sullivan's idea.
That was...
And, man, I was up in Sturgis one time at the bike rally. And I'm doing a run out. And I've got red hair, a green coat, brown pants, the stripes that go across. It looked just like Chucky. So, anyway, when I ran out, man, I started beating the heck out of this guy. He didn't even know I was going to beat him up. I just did it on the fly. And they cheered me. I was so relieved when I got back because I thought I was going to start a riot, But luckily it went my way.
So out of the
that was Kevin Sullivan's idea and Jimmy Hart's. And this is back when Sting was doing the Crow gimmick. You remember that with the baseball bat and all that?
Yeah, that was one of the famous.
And they tried to tell me that the stupid Leprechaun movie people sent them a notice to cease and desist. They would take them to court. I'm like, hey, he's been doing that deal for 5 years. What are you messing with me for? So, I don't know. And then, I know I'm getting off your target. I don't mean to.
It's fine.
Bret Hart. Huge. Everybody in the wrestling business, everybody. And they're all related. So, this is one, I was training Bill. He's about 295 and built. And he's getting the biggest push, even above Hogan. Because you can't beat that entrance that he comes in on. But he went out, and so Bill went to give him a kick. And, man, if you don't trust somebody, you turn your chin, and then you kind of sling your hand through, and nobody really sees it. But you kind of block the blow of it. And he didn't do nothing. And he tried to blame me. He said I didn't put too much on protecting my partner. Well, I've trained 80-something top people, even girls. Tori Wilson. I mean, people that make big-time money in this business. So I think it was us.
So, when WCW kind of was bought by WWE, was there any type of contact when to be bought back into the the Invasion storyline?
No, believe it or not. At that time, Eric, he worked a deal with Viacom out in Vegas, and we were actually they're gonna build the same cafe, all the same stuff. Me and my wife already flew out and looked at houses and stuff, and then the day that they were closing, the HR people showed up from TBS and not no people from Viacom. And they said this would be the last day boxes will be provided for you, and you cannot take anything out. Man, I had so many signatures over the years. It's just a shame.
So
it's just a shame.
So I actually watched like one of your your last match was at WCW Sin, where you teamed with your old buddy Goldberg to take on Totally Buff, Lex Luger, and Buff Bagwell. It was I think it was your one of your last matches in WCW.
Yes.
And what was
Well,
your?
Go ahead. I wrestled after that, but I did benefit shows. But anyway, go ahead.
So, how did it feel when you like went out and just like you and your old trainee Goldberg to team up in a match against two others that you shared the locker room with?
Yeah. Well, hey, there's nothing but car racing to get you any excited than walking out in front of a big crowd like that, you know? And, they supposedly broke my arm, and that stuff. And I'm kind of old school, the guys I actually made a cast, put it on my wrist. But anyway, what I didn't know, because I built rings and also set them up all over the place. And I had set up that ring that night, and then I went to the gym, and I've had like 14 concussions, so I get lower back migraines. So I walk in the room, and Bill goes, "Hey, you're beating me tonight." And just out of haste and having a headache, I said, "I don't want to beat you." But now looking back on it, you know what that would have done for not just my career, but for my family, money-wise. So, yeah, it's a missed opportunity. But neither Bill or the office or nobody come up and warned me, So I guess it's just a bad reaction on my part.
Let's see. So, what was your reaction when was it Hulk Hogan introduced that quote unquote finger poke of doom to Kevin Nash?
That killed the business, man. Come on. I mean, and I told Bill, I said, you got to watch out for Nash and them guys. Razor Ramon, all them guys. And I trained Dallas. It's impossible to get in touch with him. But anyway, yeah, I think that's the worst thing they ever did in the business. And don't you? I mean, they get him with a taser and all kinds of stuff to get the championship, and then Hogan walks in, Nash pushes him with a finger, he takes a bump, he covers him and pins him. They hand him the belt.
That's the same thing that they did with Jeff Jarrett. Just told him to lie down.
Yeah, that was part of him and Russo's deal. So, Jeff was always good to me. I mean, all the guys. Once I learned their respect, man, I was in control of that. I mean, even with top guys, Mean and them guys, and them Samoans, if you don't fight them, they gonna hurt you. They'll hurt you on purpose. But love the Road Warriors. Gosh, they're both gone. But they always took good care of me and stuff. So, but yeah, I started back when it was just Deep South with Jody Hamilton. 3 months. I had my first match on TV for him. I wrestled around with him and other organizations about 2 or 3 years before I went to NWA and I wrestled as DeWayne Bruce. No gimmick, no nothing. My first match was with the Iron Sheik. And he threw me out of that ring. He hit me across my back, and I had a welt across my back for about 2 weeks.
Nice.
But after then, and I just kept plugging away, and I rode with just not underneath guys. I rode with everybody, especially the Minnesota boys, Rude and Kurt and all them guys. Great people. Stone Cold used to live over here by me. And we wrestled down at old Columbus Auditorium in Columbus, Georgia, and he drove a really old truck back then. So they said, "You're the U.S. champ. You can't be driving that piece of garbage like that." He goes, "I ain't gonna say the word he said, okay?" But he basically told them they could stick it up their butt, but the sun don't shine. He'll drive wherever the hell he wants to. And next thing I saw him over there at Walmart, because he's an everyday guy, man. He loves to fish and hunt, play pool and darts and all that stuff. And I saw him, he's got his head shaved. And I said, "Man, what are you doing? What's going on with you?" He goes, I'm going to WWF. Yeah. He goes, "You need to come with me." And, I had a guaranteed deal. So, and for me to up my family and, too much turmoil. So I didn't do it. And then I actually got offered a referee job up there too. But the way Vince says, he lets guys go every day. And then all that happens is AEW, they just pick them, snatch them right up. Out of the two shows, three shows, WCW, A&E, AEW, and WWF. Which do you think is the best?
Out of the ones, it said NWA, WCW, and AEW. You said. Well, AEW I haven't watched much, but I've heard, like you've heard in the news, I think it's getting a ratings boost because of CM Punk. So maybe I'll be watching that.
Sorry to hear that.
So, if I had to choose one, because of the I don't know much about AEW, but I'm gonna say WCW.
Do you have a DVR?
A DVR? Well, I think I have like an old DVR, like on my table.
Well,
but
I've watched it a couple times, and I never watched it. I did a podcast, I don't know, 3 weeks ago over in UK, Ireland, Scotland, all that. It went for like 2.5 hours. I was sitting out in my front yard doing it. And anyway, I haven't watched AEW, and he put that question on me. So that made me go and put it on my DVR so I can watch it. They actually got a pretty good product when they're not bouncing around like jumping beans. But they do have some kind of old school wrestling.
So
it's a hybrid. It's more like a hybrid between old school and new school.
Yeah. So as head trainer of WCW Power Plant, you had to deal with guys like kind of slacking on the jobs. Like I know you were like the Sarge role. People called you the Sarge when you say, "Hey, do some squats now." That type of Sarge thing, building up into not just your character, just
military boot camp.
But so out of the people that kind of that you trained and they went on to other companies, which one would impress you the most? Which one impressed you the most when they tried out in the WCW Power Plant?
Well, I made everybody do squats. Even Bill did squats. People don't realize that. I never took it easy on nobody. In fact, nobody tried to fight me. But they speared people through the walls. We had to hang banners up and all kinds of crap just to hide it because I was doing A&E, Good Morning America. I was on, I can't tell you how much I was on. So I was really busy. I did miss a lot of my son's sports. I hate that, but my wife was always there. And then she would always text me the score of the game and stuff. And then my middle son there actually got into pole vault down at Emory. And he had a Nissan Stanza then. So he had a ratchet strap around it. going and driving down the road. I was like, Adam, what are you doing? He said, I decided to go out and pole vault. I'm like, where the heck did that come from? But man, they did a mall jump down in Jacksonville, Florida. I mean, there were people lying everywhere. He cleared his jump, man. It was unbelievable. But there's nothing like walking through a hotel room with a pole vault pole. People look at you like, well, really? So, yeah.
No, these daredevils. So there's when people look back on WCW, they some good aspects from bringing in these newer, like older stars, like people know, like Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Jeff Jarrett was I think was in WCW. He was born there. Was it Jeff Jarrett and Brutus Beefcake and Gene Okerlund, all those people that were working with WCW. Out of the ones, is there any stories that kind of like stand out? Like,
well, me and Gene was an excellent guy. In fact, even with the video games, I had to fly out. I ended up wrestling in LA's Staples Center. And, they sent me top guys, but nobody wanted to take any bumps. And I was like the referee. So for my incentive to keep my students going, I kept them busy. I took 8 guys with me out there just to be security, so they could be in front of a crowd, get excited about what they're doing, so they can perform better at the power plant. And people don't see that, but yeah, I helped out a lot. So I ended up refereeing, and everybody got there late. So I remember walking to the ring telling Bret Hart what was going to do. But he was a handful, man. He really believed his deal, So was Hogan. So I remember back in the day, they were like me. We'd be booked in the Marriott. I'll go over and be away from everybody. And then when Ric Flair was buying food and drinks, of course I went down and took advantage of that. But I went back to my room so I could get up and go to the next gym the next day, And for me, it was always about get back home. But I tell you, you're going to laugh at this story. I mean, it's going to take a minute to tell you. But one time I was up in Vancouver, British Columbia, doing the video game for 3 weeks. This is before 9/11. So my wife had to meet me at the airport. We changed bags, and I jumped on the red eye. Don't ask me why they didn't fly me into Berlin. That would have made perfect sense. But they flew me into Hamburg, Germany. And the guy didn't show up. So I get a taxi. And I've just got the name of the hotel written down on a piece of paper. I said, please take me here. And man, we're going by the Hilton, all kinds of Marriott stuff, and they put me in a German hotel. And the architecture was unbelievable. Have you ever get a chance to look at something at Hamburg? All the agriculture is just unbelievable. But so the guy met up with me the next day, and he was like a 2-pack a minute smoker, and I'm never smoked. So I'm like, dude, you got to roll your windows down. This is over winter time, dude. So we make the trip over to Berlin, and then they got the ring set up outside in the snow. So I got to run the ropes, check the well, make sure they get the mats that we're sending them with the skirts, because it was sold out for Hulk Hogan and Flair all over Europe. So it was a big deal. So anyway, where I met, the guy took me back to the hotel. Well, he missed the exit. He realized it about 2 hours later. So you know how fast we're going on the Autobahn. So it took me a while to get back to the hotel, and then he goes, damn, I want to take you out. I was like, no. I'm going to get a couple beers and room service. I'm going to bed. And So the next morning, I do the little pond jump over to London. And this is before, cell phones, probably big as a backpack then. Or a small ammo case, something like that. But, so I'm getting coins because when I fly into the airport, it's like flying into New York, but you got to go to Newark, to get there. So I had to jump on a tram and go over the thing and then pick up the courtesy bus over there, another 30-minute drive, get there, and I got there and I said, damn, I'm hungry. Excuse my language. Darn, I'm hungry. So, they got like a real nice buffet set out, so I had all my food. I was just sitting down. They paged DeWayne Bruce. DeWayne Bruce, you must come to the front desk. You must come to the front desk immediately. So I'm like, yeah, gummit. I mean, I was on that food bad, man. So anyway, I go to the front desk, and this is some secretary on there going, hey, you're going to have to get Joe back on the thing and jump on the train and stuff and go meet this guy, and I'm like, okay, shit, let me go up there. And I always take 2 bags, Never check your wrestling gear. That's the number 1 rule. Because if you lose your wrestling gear, you can't make money. So anyway, I had, so I went up and gathered a notebook and, different stuff that I was going to have to do, and luckily no snow. But I finally got a hold of him, after about an hour. And then we run like 4 blocks, and his Range Rover was booted. So then we had to jump in a taxi, and the taxi had to fly. Man, I got to see the power, see everything through a windshield, right? And that's one thing I kind of regret because I could have, if I slowed down a little bit, I could have caught a lot of history and agriculture and all that, Anyway, that was my son. Telling me some good news. So anyway, I get back to the railway station where the airport's at, and I had an open airline ticket. I said, I'm going to go jump on the plane and go home. And I left the bag of clothes back at the daggum hotel. So I had to eat it another 30 minutes over, get my bag. I couldn't make it in time to catch that flight. And then the next morning I got up, I flew into Atlanta, Georgia, straight in, and I went to a tryout. So I've done some crazy things, man. They called me in the middle of whatever, say, hey, somebody can't make it. Grab your gear, get your tickets waiting on you. Get there, and then when you fly into Chicago, you better get a taxi. And I changed into my wrestling gear in a taxi, and then I walked right in. The bell rung, and I went straight to the ring and wrestled Cactus Jack. She's a good friend of mine. I just saw him at a convention.
I see. That's a wild story right there. You're just going back and forth.
Yeah.
Just traveling all over. It's from.
Oh, yeah. And, when you go to Japan, it ain't like censored like this here. I had a plane crash that week and have everything all over it. And you're about to go jump on a plane to go home. And you're like, damn, I don't know if I really want to go home right this second. But, yeah, I've done some crazy stuff, man. Crazy, stupid driving, because I drove 30-foot trucks when I did the ring. And probably wrestled once or twice. But you know what? I was getting paid by each entity. TBS, right? Went to Japan, I got paid by them and TBS. When I went to do video game, I got paid by EA and TBS. And, the nights that I wrestled, I made really good money. But anyway, my fault was hoping a TV company for about 2 years, and the guy said, "Oh, these sponsors didn't have nothing." So I learned my lesson on that one. And he was actually recommended by Bill. So it's like, well, I don't, I guess if it comes from him, I should have researched it.
So you've watched like when after WCW folded, do you remember when Eric Bischoff, when he became GM of Raw and for like 4 years, and then even before then, the four old buddies of yours, it was Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, and what was it? It was Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, Eddie Guerrero.
Perry.
I'm trying to.
God, it just left my brain.
Is
like
it
I don't,
Malenko?
Yeah, all 5 of them went to the WWF.
Yeah.
And they didn't do anything with any of them, but Chris Benoit.
It was Chris. Oh,
and then me and Chris were big friends, man. He had broke his neck, and man, I like to think it was a drug deal because he had so many steroids and painkillers and stuff. I'd like to think he didn't do it, but they do measure athletes' brains, from when they pass away and see how many concussions and stuff. And they said he had so many they couldn't count. But I loved working him, Steve Regal, Dave Taylor, all the stiff guys. That's the guys I like to work with because you didn't have to worry about pulling your punches. I mean, because, and we all did it in the ring on the fly, so, it was so easy. Man, I don't know how these guys at WWF remember all the crap. They lay out every little thing. They're like bad B actors. Except for, I guess, The Rock and Cena, right? I've traveled with everybody, even Iron Sheik later on after he learned who I was, he lost his license, DUI, so I had to drive him, so. And then, like Bobby Eaton, I took him up to video game because they were going to fire him. And was a good friend of mine, and I couldn't let that happen. One more funny story that you're not going to believe.
All right.
Okay. They sent me to students. Okay?
All right.
So, anyway, Bobby was just there for really, I was going to have to do 1 or 2 moves, and then his job was to go see what was for lunch. So I thought, well, he could do the stinger splash. I mean, that's just jump up in the air, landing on me, and I'd be taking a bump out of the corner of the ring. But he took off running, and he slid into me and jumped up. I had Velcro marks all over my face and stuff. And I said, Bobby, what the hell was that? He goes, bro, Sarge, I don't know. I jumped high as I could. I said, your feet didn't leave the ground. The whole studio had to stop 45 minutes because everybody was laughing so hard. So, yeah, I got some dudes, man.
So Bobby Eaton didn't even get off the ground when he did the stinger splash?
Yeah. He never left the ground. He ran into me and jumped up, so I had scratch marks from the Velcro. Unlike other sports, wrestling, you cover up so many markers. They got to strip all the markers out. What they're doing there, and then you got to give at least an A take and a B take if it goes perfect. And then they put the markers back on him, but strip them off of me. And then we got to do A take and a B take of the reaction. So, yeah, they had us in an ice hockey rink to start with. I was like, we're going to be hurt, We gotta have heat. We can't do this shit. They're cold. But eventually we just over to the big thing. Like I said, I got that call for Fishaw. So me and Bam Bam was in the ring doing some mocap work, right? So big limo pulls in the back door. There's Bill and Conan. And have you ever seen Conan wrestle?
Not as of well.
If you didn't see it, you didn't miss much.
I've seen when Conan wrestled, was it like the last ever WCW pay-per-view? When I saw him wrestle a tag match, I forgot his partner for some reason. It was I think it was against Totally Buff or some other team. It was something to do with Akio or I don't know. I remember him wrestling in a tag match. I have a Peacock where I could watch the old WCW pay per views and all those nitros and all that.
I got Peacock, and you know who Brian Clark is? He was
That's Adam Bomb, I
believe. He was Adam Bomb in WWF. Well, I trained him, and he called me one thing and said, "You need to go to Peacock and watch Bill Goldberg and Steve Austin's podcast." And I went to it and watched it, man. They put me over strong. I was really surprised, you know. But some of them guys, you know, after a while, they believe their own gimmick, and you know, you don't hear from them unless they need something from you. So.
Well, you remember like a lot of moments, like you recently discussed how the infamous moment where Goldberg kind of like had this kind of stiff kick to Bret Hart's chin to that potentially ended his career. So what happened on the day where I think it was Starrcade '97, where it was Hogan and Sting, where later on after the match, first time, Bret Hart came out and just say, "Hey, we need to restart the match," and then Sting just won and made him tap out. Who was like kind of like restart all that? Russo.
Yeah. Every bad decision. Well, I ain't gonna say every bad decision, because I had to treat Tank Abbott and crazy people, and I just had to pull him in the back, man, and say, look, I know you. I know you're an athlete, but if he goes to 2 minutes to load up in the MMA, so I had to make a deal with him. I said, okay, you give me a couple hours a day, and then you can just go do whatever the hell you want, So, I did hurt myself one time. They wanted me to, man, they were paying him like $1 million a year and flying him everywhere, taking care of his car, per diem for food and everything. And this is when they put him with 3 count. I hate to say I trained 3 count, but yeah, I did. But anyway, so they were dancing out to the ring and shit, which totally killed his gimmick, And one time, him and Steiner went at it. Steiner, he was standing in the crowd, and they went at it, and they fought over the rail and everything, and it looked like it was going to be starting something really great, But then they changed it. Russo changed it, and then next thing you know, all of them are dancing out to the ring, which makes no sense at all.
I see. I guess when you look back,
and I've been through so many bookers, committees, this, that, the other, and I've always survived. You know what? Even Ole, back as old school as he is, if you could wrestle, he would use you. In fact, he fired the Samoan SWAT team. I don't know if you remember, they're kin to The Rock. But they were showing up late, and they were intoxicated and a bunch of other stuff, But I remember they was driving a Volkswagen, man. That damn car was leaning over like crazy. But he fired them, and then put us on the road 3 weeks with the Skyliners every night straight. And we used our nightsticks on them to get our heat and stuff. But we had hell of matches with them.
Well,
and it all comes to that respect. You know, they learn who you are, what you're really about, and all that stuff. That's driving me crazy. Dean Malenko, Barry Saturn, Chris Benoit, then I'm going blank. It's crazy.
I see.
Tough getting old, man. Don't get old.
It's fine. You know, respect is a key thing you have to have in this business to succeed. I know that for a fact. I know you've been through like WCW through the entirety of the company. What was I think you might have watched this. So this match, it was between Buff Bagwell and Booker T, where they tried to replicate, put WCW guys and make it into rebranded. What was your initial reaction when they tried to rebrand WCW in their WWE's WWE's WCW?
All that was just a bad idea, man. I mean, you know, and Vince got the upper hand, man. He really killed a lot of things happening, you know, and Baba died, so they're not running all Japan Pro Wrestling, which I wrestled in the Budokan. Richard Slinger, which is Terry Gordy's nephew, and Firecat. That's probably one of my best matches ever. And I told Dale, I said, let's rent a video camera, take with us. I said, no, I got one. Of course, the time we got to the Budokan, which is the biggest show, it didn't work. But I just found a good match. If you want to go on YouTube, the State Patrol versus the Men at Work. I've been looking for it for a while, and it fell off. I watched it a little bit early. It's a good match, man, and it's all about the babyface trying to make the tag and cutting them off and all that. So if you get a chance today, watch
that. I see. So throughout the entirety of WCW, have you ever seen any tried any type of pranks go down in the locker room?
Oh yeah, ribbon's a big thing in wrestling now. Nick Patrick, he's the one that got me learning about the carny and about the ribs and all that. One time, they sent a ring to St. Martin because Ric Flair opened a gym there. Who would open a gym in St. Martin? Ain't nobody looking to work out. They want to lay on the beach, fish, they want to enjoy their vacation. But they sent me down to put up the ring and referee. And man, they had us in such a beautiful hotel. I wish my wife could have went with me. But I had a beer at the bar. So I went to the bathroom, and nasty boys are always famous for dropping something in somebody's drink and then shaving their eyebrows off and stuff. So I come back from the bathroom. I'm starting to grab my beer. I look over there, and they're both staring at me. I was like, oh, hell no. Get me another beer. He goes, you just opened that. I said, oh, here, give me another beer. I ain't drinking this.
So you saw it coming.
I like to think I dodged the bullet, right?
I see. I think it was the NWO antics.
Of course, some people pooped in people's bags. Nasty. But I've actually, when they were we were taking a break at the power plant, I'd take my handcuffs and cuff their bag to the bottom rope and their foot. Stuff, because they're laid out. So we had nowhere to see. We get over at Paul Orndorff's place. But he died too, man. So, God, it was 3 people died in 1 week. I quit carrying my wrestling book around. Back in the day, we didn't put it in our phones. If you lose your phone, everybody's got everybody's number. So we used to take little books and we'd write down everybody's name and address and all that kind of stuff.
So, out of the matches that you ever had in AJPW, NWA, and WCW, which opponent would you per se say that you had the best matches with?
Gosh, I wrestled for 30 years. Like I said, I was a building manager of 4 buildings, and I was still going to do shows, raise money. People had cancer and stuff.
You gotta do it with water.
Man, that's a hard question. That's a really hard question because I love Kurt Hennig and Rick Rude and I've wrestled all of them. Hogan and Blair. Blair's a little flaky. He believes his gimmick, so. But I think Charlotte is twice the worker he was. She's definitely good on mic. So. But let's see. Of course, me and Dale had great matches with the Rock and Roll Express. Remember them guys?
No, it hurt.
I wrestled everybody in the NWO. Vincent was the worst one because he wasn't trained how to do nothing. One time we were in Disney, and I was supposed to pick him up, and then he hit the ground and then suplexed me in. But he up in midair, he let me go. I went crashing down on my head and my shoulder on the ring apron. And I remember Dusty talking about it because he'd like to slap somebody in the face, and that's disrespectful. My dad taught me that. That was disrespectful, man. So I beat the crap out of him. And then all he gets is the damn finish at the end. So, yeah.
So,
I got to say, I buckled the road a lot, for my career, if I'd have sucked butt and did like everybody else did, I could have probably went further. But will you be truly happy at the end result? Man, I'm here. I've got all my sons living with me. I have an autistic son. He's 30. He's going to always live with us. And then Adam, my middle son, he's the one with the football and the pole balls. He's got 3 of them down in his room where he broke them. Ain't nothing like hearing that, man. And him doing a 360 flip in the air. But he drives a truck from McLean. They love him to death. And I actually got my grandson living here with me now. He's not even 3 yet. He's 42 inches tall and about 41 pounds. So, yeah. And then my wife's a nurse. So she's the glue that keeps all our family together.
So besides the pranks and all that, and the mess and the screw-ups and the thing WCW of the bad bookings, they deemed bad, what type of, I know there always has to have some type of crazy altercations, if they didn't agree with, it's like, hey, I'm gonna go over. No, I'm gonna go over. They just battle and just and
I was there when Paul Orndorff got into it with Vader. And the only thing Vader wouldn't want to do is go. He said, "Get up, go do your damn interview." And they had some words, and next thing I know, he had kicked him down in the knee and was football punting him in the face with flip-flops on. But I'm sure they both were on something, and probably, I know Paul was bipolar too, and and I'm sure some drugs might have been involved there to make that happen, But You know, yeah, ribbing happened. Some fights happened. You know, I seen Rick Bruce slap the shit out of Ric Flair and dare him to get up, and Rick just sat there. He may have whooped my ass. You know, he may have beat me up, but I ain't gonna take nothing like that, right?
You've been called the Sarge
I
for
seen
nothing.
Dallas Page get into it with Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner was out in the interview in the middle of the ring, and he just went off on Dallas's wife. Man, I mean, it went on, and I'm sitting in the dressing room. Now, Dallas is scanning the room for all his boys, you know, because he always had like 5, 6, 7 guys, you know, that helped him out. So he's looking at all of the guys like, okay, when he gets on top of me, pull him off of me, you know. So, but I got to give him his credit. He popped right as soon as he walked through the curtain. He popped him right in the jaw. So.
Obviously, the most famous thing from WCW, or one of, was the NWO like wrecking havoc. Just it's like, hey, we run the show. We write something on your back. We run the show. We don't listen to management. We don't listen to Bischoff. We don't listen to Russo. You know, what was your?
And then before you know it, everybody was in the NWO.
We
even Bischoff, whatever.
So what was your initial? You might have heard this back in 2002, where was it during the draft? They've actually brought back the NWO. It was Hogan, Hall, and Nash, and I think X Pac also, Sean Waltman.
Yeah.
When you first saw that, what was your initial reaction when the NWO was rebranded in WWE?
When they appeared back at WWF.
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. It was when they,
the NWO. The water, you know, for me, they missed the boat. You know, they were never going to get as much heat as they got here. You know, you remember when they first showed up here? I think it was Hogan, Nash, and Razor, and they power bombed Bischoff through the tables out there and stuff. That's what started it getting red hot. You know, and you know, I always talk to Bill, gave him warnings about people because I've been there, you know, a lot longer than he has. And everybody thinks that first match with Hugh Morris was his first match, but that's not true. I had many matches, dark matches with him in Florida, you know, I mean, everywhere, you know. And I had him doing crap I know he would never use. But the fans are important. But sometimes selling to that monitor, to that booker, and that means more sometimes than what the crowd does. You know what I mean? But I always stayed in good with camera guys, the guys that set up the, you know, sets and everything. I had one time, I was down at Disney World, and the guy was supposed to help me take down the ring. Now, we're talking Douglas Fir stuff. We're not talking about a bouncing ring like that WL. We're talking it's Douglas Fir 4x8 stringers and 4x12 outside the ring and 3/4 inch Douglas Fir thing and a mat and a canvas. And I had to start fusing the ropes together. We used to cable clamp them. But as the guys got bigger, man, I had to do something. So I took it over to the place I found in Barstow Industries. And I used to have them ropes fused together. And then I made them put an extra stringer, an extra ring, and an extra spider cable, whatever they needed. Because I've seen them break right in the middle of a match, you know. Especially when they got heavier, like Paul White. You know. Anyway, I trained Mark, you know, all them guys. And I can pull up a list, but you wouldn't believe how many people I've actually trained. And I had people that was in all walks of the service and everything said they would never come back and go through that. So, but see, and this is how it evolved. I started out with, Jody, and then I just robbed things from different other sports and make it into a routine, and like monkey rolls and all that stuff. And we start out with 500 Hindu squats right off the bat. And if you called me and I told you everything that you're going to do and you wasn't in shape when you got there, that's their fault. And because I told everybody the truth. One time I had a guy challenge me. His name was Tony Carr. He made it at the power plant. He started doing TV. And he challenged me to a squat contest. Most everybody, it was like 4 or 5 of us. And everybody else went to sit down and said, hell, I ain't getting into that. So, of course, start out with one set of 50. Then I went 100. And then we did 1,695 right after that. And I dropped everybody that was talking crap all over them. So, but, the trials was a 3-day trial. And, you may have some physical attributes that you could about make it, but you can't give somebody heart, and you can't, if they're sucking wind, in the first 2 minutes, there's no way they can remember anything. You know what I mean? So that's why it was designed for 3 days, and we do 2 days, and by the 3rd day, I have that 3 people or so that were left, and then people that made it.
So, when you were in WCW, when you were running the power plant, there's one interview when you had a lot of interviews, or at least at the power plant with like Jody Hamilton and all the others, like Ron Reese, one of the trainees there, and there was one that stood out that I think you were involved in. It was I think you remember this. A reporter kind of like asked some type of like unnecessary question, and then you just like made him.
Talk about Louis Theroux, the British guy from England.
Yeah, that's what I found out. It was from BBC, I believe. It was like you made.
Yes, so it's on BBC. But what people don't know, I had been on the road for a week in a truck and wrestling. So we were in Jacksonville. I drove from Virginia all the way through to Jacksonville, and I took Mike Sanders with me because time he fills in, he gets paid for everything. They're paying for his room, they're paying for everything. He make a pretty good payday. And I also took him to video games too. So, and anyway, so I get there, and he comes out with his smart ass questions, with Alan. He was like a PR guy. So I had to go from there down to Miami Beach. And that damn Mike Sanders, man, I'm all about the AC. I can get a room at the Marriott for $100. Are you kidding me? That's where I'm going. But no, he wanted to be on the beach. He wanted to have a little party. So we get checked into this room. They got fluorescent curtains. Oh my God! You cut the damn lights off, you could still see the curtains. So AC was working, and I've been in the AC business. My dad was a custom home builder, so I've been around building all my life. I've ran commercial buildings. I've installed units as a maintenance guy, and also as me and my dad were selling houses. So this guy comes up with a coat hanger, sticks it in the vent, and rattles it around. He says, "That's going to be okay." I'm like, I went off. And then I'm laying there, I'm sweating profusely. I don't have a cover on. I'm in my underwear. I'm trying to get any kind of air I can. So Mike, he said something. I said, yeah, we could be at the damn Marriott for $100. This room was more expensive than that. So he stood up. So I grabbed him by his goozle and picked him up, put him against the wall. I said, man, I'm going to hurt you bad. You just don't know. And so then I set him back down. I said, well, that was uncalled for. Let me lay back down and calm down, go back to sleep. So I'm laying there, and I got my back turned towards him. And he's sitting up in the bed like this, looking at me. I said, man, turn around, go to sleep. It's over with, man. Well, you like a lady that holds a grudge forever? And I sorry, he sat there and watched me for like 2 hours. But the next day, we was at the Marriott. And they had a good gym there and everything. So, you know.
Well, you have a lot of knowledge from the early days to the up until its decline and bought by WWE. So, speaking of longevity, there was one interview. You know, there was a interview session. Was it Mean Gene Okerlund? It was some other guy that was interviewing. It was you, and then there was and then somebody came up and it's like it was a promo. It was like it was one Terry Funk where he said like, "Hey, you don't belong in the business." And just beat the hell out.
He slaps me. You know what? That was one of my first, interviews there. And there was some ribbon when I was talking to him, because he had some kind of infatuation with a number he didn't want to hear, and they didn't want me to go with Flair, right? So of course I said, "You're the greatest," But they had just did that same deal, him and Ric Flair, and he powerbombed him on a table, and they showed him in the hospital, and then I come out. Me and one guy was having a rookie challenge match. So we're going around. He reaches in, grabs my legs, pulls me out, and pile drives me on the floor. Runs to chase the other guy because he's running from him. He grabs him by the tights of his dress up, and he bounced back to him, and he nailed him. Then they sent me out to do that interview after them. And then you saw what happened. And I'm thinking, damn, I just taken 2 pile drivers on a concrete floor, and I'm not in no hospital or nothing. I'm just sitting in the back waiting for my next match, right? So, but, some of them guys, like the Steiners, they had unorthodox moves, And one time, because see, Scott trust my timing, so I was always like even the one when I wasn't supposed to lose, I lost because if you drop him on his head, he's done, right? So I've always had great timing for some reason, and so anyway, he wanted to do this move down in Montgomery, so he picks me up in a suplex, and then midair throws me, and I come down like a tombstone pile driver. And he come back and said, "Don't you ever do that to anybody else ever again. You just made us just have a heart attack." So I've been pretty lucky.
You said you took 2 pile drivers and didn't go to the hospital. I mean, that's like a deadly move to take. That's
I think Vince told them they can't do that no more. They can't do that. Some kind of reason. I don't know. Yeah. But everybody that's always given it to me, I love working with Fit Finley, man. He's like a night off. He did the tombstone pile driver, and it looked like he killed him, and we both had, well, my hair's a little short right now. My same barber's been cutting my hair since the beginning, so we're trying to keep him healthy. And it's only like $11, man. So, you can't even go to Great Clips for $11. You say you want a wax on, they start pulling out a book, and I'm going, hell, I'm getting out of the chair. You ain't touching my hair. So I've had to go find, the little barber pole out in front a couple times. when he was sick. But yeah, I think I was very fortunate. I think I'm really lucky that I have to wear titanium knee braces for my knees, and I've had 2 battles in the hospital. This one's just got us all baffled. I don't know. My wife, she's the most intelligent person I know. I mean, as far as computers, she's area director of training nurses. If that tells you anything, she travels around to different PMOC clinics and train people, stuff. So we met on a blind date when we were 18 years old. You hear that? That is true. I went to Jonesboro High. She went to Riverdale High, which is our competitor. And she had a friend, and I had a friend, and I was running a big truck stop there because I always worked. And she got out of the car, and I'm like, yeah, come. And then I was counting, truck stop, you've got a lot of money you got to count out at the time. So she started messing with me, so I had to start over counting like damn 10 times. And I said, well, that's the girl for me. If she could joke, that's pretty good. So.
Well, you may remember seeing the last ever WCW Nitro, where the main event was Scott Steiner and Booker T for for the United States title and the world title, and then before then I think it was Sean Stasiak and Bam Bam Bigelow, those guys battling it out like in Panama Beach, Florida.
I trained Sean Stasiak.
So what was your initial reaction?
His dad started him out, but then he ended up at the power plant.
So what was your initial
Go ahead.
What was your initial reaction when the final Nitro got to air and Shane McMahon?
Talking about the one in Panama City, Florida?
Yeah, Panama City, Florida, and when Shane McMahon took over WCW.
Well, I think they kind of shot their own foot. Suppose this happened. Shane buys really WCW, okay, and runs it like a separate company. They're in competition together, and then you bring down his world champion faces a WWF champion, whoever wins keeps the belt and they stay on that station. If they went and did something like that, I think it would have been over huge. I really do. I've actually pitched ideas when I had students in the school and they made it and stuff. I said, well, let's put a camera in the back seat, see them, because a lot of times when we got out, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, Only place was open is a Waffle House. So you go in and order your hash browns, your dry wheat toast, and your chicken, and your egg whites, and then you have to wipe off the chicken with half the napkin to get the grease off. But you'd see the whole damn Waffle House full of people. I didn't go. He offered me a job to come up and do some version of the power plant. You see how Tough Enough went. That was a big joke. And I just didn't trust him, with my family. And us move out up there, and then 3 weeks later, he lets me go, And so that's one of the reasons I never went.
So moving from like WCW portion, from the power plant, when you were the head trainer there, I know you got a lot of like applications to attempt to, and got a lot of people in the WCW power plant wanting people to go from from all over the United States. I get
tapes from everywhere. I don't know if you know it. I trained Bob Sapp. Do you know who he is?
I think he's some type of.
Well, he started out here. He's going to be the next big thing to go against Bill Goldberg. But then he went to Japan and got an MMA, their version of MMA. And then next thing you know, he's got his own TV show over there. And Just look him up. He's huge. He used to come down by me, and we'd go to the gym and work out, get him ready, and I'd show him some stuff because we went as they were closing, so we had the gym to ourselves. But his name's Bob Sapp. He was in the longest yard with Stone Cold and Nash and all them guys that I was buddies with. It didn't help me get a damn guard job, a guard position, a butthole guard position on the movie, So anyway, you just have to look back and you go, well, that's over with. I can't do nothing about it now. No. But yeah, I didn't go. I didn't feel there was any reason for me to go, even though they were going to take care of me. But at that point, when they tell you you've got to leave your office and you've got Andre the Giant signed autographs, and I wrestled Gene Funk, Terry's older brother, over in Japan and stuff, and my whole office was full, of everything. So yeah, that left a bitter taste in my mouth. If I'd have known, I'd have got everything out the day before. Because it was all mine. It was autographed to me. So from Hogan to Flair to whoever.
Also, as head trainer, you had to deal with a lot of people's antics, like kind of like got to hear like a lot of whining and just like it's like I can't go on, and then you famously say like, hey, if you're not going to stay here, get the hell out. And
yeah, and I did a lot worse.
I
had people trying to leave, and I would drag them back in 3 or 4 times, trying to get them to do more stuff. But I gave everybody a fair chance, yeah, it says it was pretty brutal, and I was pretty brutal, but that was my job, because, WCW didn't have the farm system like WWF does, NXT and all of that, they just wasn't geared that way. I tried to get them, but when we moved over to the power plant over the real nice building over there, I said, because the ring that I built for EA Sports, I actually put rollers, and where you take a big long bar and you could actually jack the wheels up so you can push it in a different direction. So I had 4 rings. I said, let me do it to all these rings. We'll just put in seats, man. I'd like to find some bleachers of schools closed that I could buy, so they come out and they close back, And so I said, well, I went to a huge meeting. Everybody was there. And I said, man, these guys are making it. They're coming from all walks of life. Put a cameraman in the car, seeing them going to, the road travels, through the windshield type deal, and where they stopped and ate, and then they get up and go to the gym next morning, and then go to the next town, right? We had to drive under 300 miles. Everybody had to drive. So a time you shoot all that with different people, and then you put them on the Power Hour, the small show that we have. They lose, and then they win by a small package or something, just out of the blue. And everybody comes out of the dressing room and carries them out, And then you put him on our other show. What was the other show we filmed at Disney Farm? I don't know. Eventually they made it to Saturday night, same thing. And eventually they make it to a pay-per-view. By then, you've already built a name. They saw this person grow up and go through the altercations and everything he had to go through to become a wrestler and run his bio, the whole deal. So by the time he went to Saturday night, he's got a following. you know. So I'm going to the girls, boys clubs, you know, and stuff, you know, signing autographs and stuff. Like, you remember they used to do that all the time, even NWA. So, they, you know, Ron Simmons was the first black world champion. So I mean, they sent him down to different places just to make appearance and pay him and sign autographs. But I think that would have been a great tool that they could bottled up and made their own stars. You know, yeah, I had Batista come through, but listen, he dogged me like nobody's been. I mean, shit, all kinds of stuff. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you truthfully, his voice never impressed me at all. You know, yeah, at least you got to go to Ohio Valley and try to learn something, but WCW didn't have that. And unfortunately, Matt and Jeff Hardy was there, but man, they were like $150, you know, and they were requiring 200 pound weight limit. So missed opportunities, but I think Batista's a lot better off now. Don't you think?
So as when you were training those guys, when people came into the WCW power plant and wanted to become a WCW superstar, what was your pet peeve when it comes to training a lot of these people?
Well, this is how it went down. I'd carve up for 2 weeks, you know, carving, you know, and then I had a 32-ounce QT coffee mug, and I'd leave the house late, so my blood is rushing. I'm drinking that coffee the whole way there. Everybody's already there, and I went into a certain office to stretch, and they would give me the lowdown of what everybody's talking smack about. That was the most irritating thing to me, is that here they are trying out, but they think they're all this, right? And at the end, they truly dropped out. So, you know, and the ones like Mike Sanders and Kiwi, I don't like Kiwi. I like Matt Allen Funk. You know, them guys, Sean, Daisiak, all them guys, man, they stuck it out and they put in the hard work, you know, and you know, and I believe everybody should know everything. I made them load the trucks, the rings, and know every part of the business because you never know what you're going to be asked to do.
There,
Especially those days. You know, Vince rolls in 5 tractor trailers. You know, we didn't. I mean, we had them, but we didn't have it like that.
there's one that you kind of like heard that what is it? Something to do with Batista. It's something to do with you and Batista. You know, you might have heard the story that about circulating about you. That was it. You of like Batista. You put him through hell or whatever with the regiments,
Yeah.
and you insisted on him to do a WWE tryout. After all the hard work that he's been doing through it, and even after he kind of like vomited, it's
Yeah.
and
I made him wipe it up with his shirt and put it back on. Man, I made guys lay down in the floor and say, move their arms and legs, say, sir, I'm a dying cockroach, sir. And after they said it, then I'd jump down their ass. Don't you ever say that. I have a lot of sayings, man.
Isn't
Go hard or go home. You know, all kinds of sayings.
all right. So I'm gonna do one more question, and you and me on your very way.
Okay.
All right. What was your honest like opinion about like these Monday Night Wars between WCW and WWF at the time in the '90s up until 2001?
Well, a lot of people don't know they had their camera truck, and we had their show on at the same time they had our show on. And you know, in competitions, what drives everything. So why we're wrestling, we got a bunch of guys hanging around the television truck watching their show, and they're doing the same. So even though whoever's winning the rating war, and I don't know if you know this, but they count every quarter hour for what the rating is. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. I think there's a bunch of missed opportunities. I think Cody's AEW, I've just started back watching that. It's more of a hybrid. It's not all new school. It's not all old school. It's, yeah, they do grab a hold, and really that's what the story that I'm trying to tell is, okay, I'm wrestling you. I show them a reason that you're stronger than me. You're faster than me, but I can wrestle, but to show you can out wrestle me. So that caused me to what? Have to cheat behind the referee's back. Don't never do it in front of the referee. That's all they do these days, right in front of the referee. So, and that's how you get heat. And then once you set that heat on that baby face, you keep him alive and keep him alive, but never can just like make the tag, and then when he finally makes the tag, me and Dale are in the ring feeding that baby face. He's punching us. We're taking bumps, and then it gets more intense. It gets, it builds up, it may be a punch, hip toss, or something like that, or hip toss slam, whatever. And eventually we feed up to each other. And how we always determine who was going to win or lose. Whose day was it, Dale, was it your day? I think it was. So we found a way for them to run us into each other, take a bump out of the ring, and then so they can do the finish on the guy, and then the heel tries to make it back in the ring to make the save, and the babyface cuts him off. Yeah. Please go watch that State Patrol versus a Man at Work. You'll see everything new and old school. I mean, we do the Gene and Arn Anderson stuff to him, early, about his arm and stuff. But there's some good stuff, too. That's more newer age. Too. All around, it's a really good match. It goes like 11 minutes. So TV, that's a long time. But see, that's why I honed in cardio. Because if your opponent blows up, you're still good to go. You can do anything you want, Without not trying to get yourself fired, like Regal got fired because of Bill. But that was kind of both their faults, Yeah, I think Regal should have been working with him a little bit more. Regal, man, he was over in Europe and he wrestled fans at the carnivals, so he's a tough bastard, man. Well, all them guys were tough. Finley, him, Ming, Barbarian. I mean, and I don't know what it is about Ming. We'd be in a bar and they walk right past Ric Flair, can't bust a grape. Cannot bust a grape, man. And go over and screw with him, and he's been drinking liquor. Oh my God. I've seen him, seriously, I got the hell out, but I saw him beat up policemen. And they asked him, we get in the car, please. Too much.
One of those
Crazy
days.
world, isn't it?
Yeah. Them wrestling police officers?
Yeah.
That's kind of out of the ordinary.
Officer.
That's kind of out of the ordinary. I know, talk about
he was like 340, 350.
I know there's
mean joker, man.
I know those are.
And if you didn't hit him, he just kicked your ass. I mean, if you don't fight these guys back there, they're not going to respect you. They're not going to have no patience with you.
I know there's.
And I've always been known as a stiff one, because everybody I trained was stiff too. But that's how I was trained, man.
About that.
I know one time over in Japan, they actually split me and Dale up because I did a plancha on a guy over the top rope, and he stiff armed me. And I come down on my ankle, and it swelled up about 3 times bigger than it was. I don't know if you know these guys, but Danny Crawford and Doug Furness had to tape my foot to help me get my shoe on, and I wrestled every damn night. Because if you get hurt, they send you home, man. I got pneumonia over there, and I wrestled every damn night. I wasn't a big partier or anything. I did have drinks, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't like Ric Flair and all them guys, So,
that's.
But yeah, I think I heard Vince has been trying to sell a company for a long time, and I guess. And I don't know how this is working on this. I guess he gets paid on the commercials. But how can you give your stuff away for free? Unless you're getting some kind of, you got to be getting money off commercials or something, right?
Yeah, because he has Raw on USA and Fox that is on Air SmackDown. I don't know.
Too much TV, man. Overexposure is another bad thing. And the internet. The internet killed us too, The flash everything all over sheets, I've actually had to change my match because they give my damn finish over the damn internet. I'm like, well, I ain't doing that. How stupid am I if I do that?
That's like ruining an entire movie.
Right. We'll just show you the highlights of the clips, and you just figure it out from there.
That would be, what would be more stupider? That with people would do it in a promo, just I'm going to go over the ropes and then just be pinned 1, 2, 3. That would be the stupidest promo in the history of pro wrestling.
Right. Hey, and I've also been in a Life magazine. I've been on every kind of news outlet that's been, A&E, Good Morning America, WSB, and I'm sure I'm forgetting quite a bit that I'm leaving out. But, I never took myself too seriously, and if I gotta earn them guys' respect, I get. And you've been told everything that you were going to do, and you show up out of shape, man. That pisses me off, because I took the time to tell you every little bit thing we're going to do, and you're 4 or 5 weeks out from coming to the tryouts. Wouldn't that make you mad? I mean, don't make any sense. Have warehouse workers show up, cut off Phil's tattoos, big ass stomach. I'm like, dude, what are you thinking? And bumps are for real. Theirs is not as bad because they got a metal ring, but ours had a double spur. I mean, I ain't kidding you. The bump will take the air out of you. So, I'm finish up the podcast, but yeah. So, I don't even know what to think about it now. I mean, WWE's way too overexposed, and I do think now that I've started watching a little bit of it, AEW is doing a better job. And, Cody's, man, he's in movies, and he's on that, what is that? Greatest Jump or whatever the hell that is. I can't remember.
I don't know.
It's on TBS.
But
it's all TBS stuff.
I think I think WWE's going down the toilet because I think you said that was right. It was overexposure because I have to tell you that's true because they actually have their own prepaid card, like credit cards. It's like, really? Do you really are that desperate for getting attention? Everybody knows what you are, even when they don't watch wrestling.
Yeah. think about merchandising and all that too. Some people forget about that. And hell, I think I saw about 2 days ago he let like 14, 15 people go inside the blue. And see, I can't live like that.
Yeah.
I gotta know where my money's coming from.
They've been releasing people since.
Because he's got all kinds of lawyers. He can tie you up in court forever. Like, they actually got a lawsuit on the concussion thing. It's in the Supreme Court. And look how long he's delayed that. People already passed away now. It was on that list. So, I guess he's got too much freaking money and no sense. I mean,
well, I kind of like looked up. Vince is still like some type of billionaire, but he has actually lost wealth over the span of the recent years. But when I looked up Tony Khan's wealth, the guy who was running AEW, it said that he's even richer than Vince. And
his dad's a sheik over there, and he owns the Jaguars football team. So they got deep pockets, man. Jericho, after he first left WWF and went there, he took off his bonus money, just his bonus money for signing, and bought a $2.5 million home in Florida. Must be nice.
That's at least putting something to good use.
Off of bonus money. That's money that they can't even touch, I didn't even want his contract here.
Well, that's professional wrestling. Whatever you do with your paycheck.
Yeah. We rent a house down in Florida, Ormond Beach by the sea. It's north of Daytona every year. Man, it's so nice. It sleeps 8. And it's got a saltwater pool in the back, kayaks, bicycles, games. We got like big coolers, and we get dry ice and buy our meat here because down there it's more expensive. And we grill out every night, play cards outside, and go to the beach and fish. All of us are big fishermen. My wife beats us every damn time, man. I don't know what it is. I've accused my son of going around scuba diving and putting the fish on a hook for her. So it's always, and we're such a family. We laugh and cut up together, and I think that, that just enhances your family, dynamic, for how close you are and, how you communicate, all that stuff. Like right now, my middle son that broke the pole, he's outside cutting my grass on the riding lawnmower with my grandson right now. So, and my wife's at work, so she's got them brutal 12-hour shifts. You get walk-ins at last minute. So, it'd be sometimes 2 or 3 hours past the time she's supposed to get off.
When I first watched wrestling, it was because of one of the guys you trained, and which one was my favorite wrestler of all time, and that was Goldberg. And and when he came back and he wrestled Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, that made me got into wrestling because of his intensity and his past.
They're about to put them two together again. He's still under contract by WWE.
Yeah, he even had a match last night.
Was it last night? Okay, I knew it was coming up.
It was SummerSlam.
Was it more the same?
Well, it was a little bit different. It was not just the usual spear, jackhammer. It was he pulled out some slams, most of the match. If you go back and watch, that's at least something good to go off of. Hey, he has a son now.
Yes.
Yeah. Apparently, he even got involved in the match somewhat at the end of it.
No, Bill won't let him. He's in baseball.
Well,
and that's what I say about my grandson. He needs to be. Everybody's yelling football, you know. I'm yelling basketball, baseball, because he's going to be big, you know.
yeah,
They say he's going to be 6'5" and about 285. So, you know, that's their prediction. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I could see him on the basketball court, couldn't you?
Well, my older brother did football in high school, so I went to his games a couple times. You know, I cheering him on.
Yeah, when I was in high school, of course, I was in the 80s, man. So, you know, but I played in 4 different sports. So, yeah.
That's a lot of sports to do.
I don't even know how I did it, really. Have the time to do that and try to keep the grades up, too.
Well,
I even got my Eagle Scout with all 3 palms and went to Explorers. This is going to tell you how old. I got letters from President Ford and a bunch of senators. I had Truett Cathy coming when he was alive down to his main office. He offered to send me a copy to the University of Georgia for business administration. And something was going on in my family, and one part of my grade dropped down, so I couldn't go. And Lord, but I guess it's well and done. What would the wrestling sport look like now if I wouldn't? Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
it does still bother me a little bit that Bill didn't at least come out and talk to me. You know what I mean? Or the office. Everything, the interviews, see me do in the ring and all them other matches, did with Luger and Bagwell and all that, I was sad with it. Nobody was telling me what to do. So, I mean, I've wrestled with Parker on many house shows where Codan wouldn't show up. And they call the office the next day and said, "Can we wrestle Sarge?" We wrestle Sarge and Conan. So, you know, it's good to have that kind of rapport, you know.
Let's see. Well, it's.
And I used to know some Spanish. I used to know Japanese to order my food and stuff. And you don't use it, you lose it, you know. And some German. But.
Well, it's. Thank you for coming on, Mr. Bruce.
Oh, no problem. I'm going to show you a little something real quick. You're not going to believe this. To me, it looks better than WCW spells.
Let's see. See what you're about to show me. Oh, it's a championship belt. Oh, is that the old WCW championship belt?
No, this is to me.
No, this is World
Heavyweight Champion, Wrestling Champion, and it's got Sarge at the bottom.
Oh, that's like commemorative.
I can take a picture and send you some pictures.
In
fact, I was on the phone with Sonny Siaki last night. He was doing a fundraiser, and all I was doing is going to my camera, sending him pictures left and right all through my career, so we can help somebody else out.
Well, it's neat to have your own commemorative belt, commemorative title.
A fan made that.
A fan made that?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive to make a belt like that.
Yeah, you see all the leather work on it and stuff. You saw how shiny it is. I'll tell you what. I wouldn't take the World Heavyweight Champion WCW belt for this one. Of course, I got another one.
Alright.
It's hanging in my office.
Alrighty. I hope that you had a good time. I really had a good time because you're really much of a storyteller. Because that's what I like. It's kind of like expressing the business and all that. That's why I became a wrestling fan. And this is I started like March in wrestling and gotten a lot of wrestlers on the show, and this is like one of the most kind of like most expressed moments that I've had on the podcast. You know,
I agree with you.
yeah. I hope you have a good rest of your day, Mr. Bruce. I'm glad to have you on. If you
Well, we're gonna probably drill out.
if you
Start
if you
drilling before my wife gets home. So
all right, you go do that. If you want to come back on or you want to stray more stories,
I'd love to come back on.
Just let me know.
And I have to make sure my wife's here so she can get my iPad. So I actually see you. Sorry about that.
All right, that's fine. You're good.
She's my IT person too.
All right,
all right, my friend. I want you to have a blessed day.
You too, Mr. Bruce.
I'll see you soon.
Peace. Well, that was more expressed moments on this podcast. I'm saying it right now, and I'm gonna say it until I die. Well, not until I die, but that was pretty good. That was a pretty good podcast episode for DeWayne Bruce. Anyway, I'm gonna sign off, and I'll tell you, and I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna wait until a couple of others. There's gonna be more wrestlers. I'm not gonna. Maybe it was maybe Derek Nykirk and maybe Joey Mercury. But besides that, I'm gonna sign off for now. Peace out.